The scent suppressors were failing. Rowan Vale could smell himself breaking through the cheap chemical barrier he'd sprayed on 3 hours ago in a gas station bathroom. Sweet, sharp, wrong for this room. He stood near the marble pillar farthest from the entrance, gripping a champagne flute he hadn't sipped from, watching men in custom suits negotiate deals worth more than his entire bloodline. Security had pulled him inside 40 minutes ago. No explanation. Just a hand on his elbow and a polite command that felt like a threat. The estate smelled like old money and alpha pheromones layered so thick he could taste them. Chandeliers threw gold light across faces he'd only seen in business magazines. Korean investors, American power brokers, people who owned cities. He didn't belong here. The jacket didn't fit right. Borrowed from a theater costume department where he sometimes worked weekend shifts. The shirt was his, thrift store, pressed until the collar looked almost crisp. His younger brother Micah was home alone right now eating cereal for dinner because Rowan couldn't afford to skip this. Couldn't afford to say no when the invitation arrived with a car service and a note that said attendance was mandatory. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Mandatory didn't explain why. Just that someone wanted him here. Someone who knew his address. His work schedule. His designation. Rowan shifted his weight and felt the blister forming on his left heel. Cheap dress shoes. He'd lined them with newspaper, but it wasn't helping. A server passed and he caught a whiff of roasted meat. His stomach clenched. He'd eaten a protein bar 6 hours ago. The room shifted. Conversations dropped in volume. Heads turned toward the double doors at the far end. Rowan followed the movement and felt his throat close. The alpha who entered didn't walk like the others. He moved with the kind of stillness that made noise feel intrusive. Dark hair swept back. Sharp-featured. Expensive suit cut so precisely it looked like armor. Late 20s maybe. Hard to tell. His face gave nothing away. Someone near Rowan whispered a name. Taehyun Seo. Busan family. The kind of family that didn't appear in legal documents. Rowan's suppressors chose that moment to fail completely. He felt the warmth spread across his skin as his natural scent released into the air. Honey and something vulnerable. Something that screamed Omega. He pressed back against the pillar and prayed the crowd would hide him. Taehyun's gaze swept the room. Slow, deliberate, caught on Rowan and held. For 3 seconds that felt like drowning, the alpha stared at him. Not with desire. Not with disgust, with recognition, like he'd found something he'd been looking for. Rowan forgot how to breathe. The champagne flute trembled in his hand. He wanted to look away, but his body wouldn't cooperate. Around them the room resumed its noise, but it sounded distant now. Muffled, like being underwater. Taehyun moved, not toward Rowan, toward the center of the room where an older alpha was gesturing broadly. But his eyes stayed on Rowan for 1 more second before releasing him. Rowan's knees went weak. He locked them and forced himself upright. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Micah. Probably asking when he'd be home. He couldn't answer. Not here. Not with his hands shaking like this. A hand landed on his shoulder. Heavy. Possessive. You're the translator. Rowan turned. The man behind him wore a smile that didn't reach his eyes. American. Older. Alpha. Expensive cologne fighting a losing battle against the scent of cigar smoke. I'm sorry? The Omega they brought in for dialect work. The man's smile widened. You speak Busan, don't you? Rowan's mouth went dry. He hadn't told anyone that. Hadn't listed it on any form. He'd learned it years ago from a foster mother who'd barely spoken English. Learned it to survive. To understand when she was angry. When it was safe to come out of his room. How did this man know? I need you to translate something. The alpha continued, not waiting for confirmation. His grip tightened on Rowan's shoulder. Come. It wasn't a request. Rowan's feet moved before his brain caught up. The alpha steered him through the crowd toward the center of the room, toward Taehyun. Rowan's scent spiked with fear, pure, unmistakable. Several alphas turned to look at him with expressions ranging from curiosity to contempt. They stopped 3 feet from Taehyun. Up close, the Korean alpha was taller than Rowan expected. Broader. He stood with his hands in his pockets, listening to an older man speak rapid Korean. Seoul dialect. Formal. Business. The American alpha shoved Rowan forward slightly. "Translate," he ordered. Rowan's voice came out thin. That's not Busan. I know what it is." The American's voice dropped to something dangerous. "Translate anyway. Prove you're worth the trouble." Heat crawled up Rowan's neck. Humiliation. Anger. Fear. He opened his mouth to explain he couldn't just translate on command like some performing animal when Taehyun moved. The Korean alpha turned, looked directly at Rowan, and spoke. One sentence. Soft. Busan dialect so pure it hit Rowan like a childhood memory. The room went silent. Rowan's response left his mouth before he could stop it. Instinct. Muscle memory. The same gentle tone his foster mother had used when calming him after nightmares. A greeting. Simple. Respectful. The kind you used with someone you recognized as safe. Every alpha in the room froze. What did Rowan just say that made the entire room go silent? Rowan realized his mistake the moment the words left his mouth. The silence wasn't confusion. It was shock. The kind that came from witnessing something forbidden. He felt it in the way the nearest alphas stepped back. In the sharp intake of breath from the older Korean man. In the weight of eyes that suddenly treated him like a threat instead of furniture. Taehyun hadn't moved. Hadn't blinked. He stood perfectly still with his hands still in his pockets, watching Rowan with an expression that gave away nothing. But his scent changed. Barely. A shift so subtle most people would miss it. Pine and something electric. Something that made Rowan's hindbrain scream danger and safety in the same breath. The American alpha who'd grabbed Rowan made a sound low in his throat. "What did you say to him?" Rowan couldn't answer. His tongue felt thick. Useless. He greeted Taehyun the way you greeted family. The way you spoke to someone when you both understood what it meant to be afraid. That dialect wasn't for strangers. Wasn't for public rooms full of people who measured worth in power. A woman near the bar whispered something in Korean. Rowan caught enough to understand. She was asking who he was, where he came from, why someone like him knew that particular phrasing. Taehyun took a step forward. Small. Deliberate. The crowd parted without being asked. He was close enough now that Rowan could see the details others missed. The way his jaw was set. The tension in his shoulders hidden under expensive tailoring. The absolute control it took to stand that still when everything around him had shifted. "Your name." Taehyun's English was perfect. Accentless. Cold. "Rowan." Came out as a whisper. "Rowan Vale. You learned Busan dialect from family?" It was a trap. Rowan knew it was a trap. If he said yes, they'd want names. Lineage. Proof he had the right to speak words that carried blood history. If he said no, they'd know he was an outsider who'd stolen something not meant for him. He chose truth. Foster care. She was from Busan. She taught me. Something flickered in Taehyun's eyes. Too fast to name. What was her name? I don't remember. He remembered everything. Her name. Her face. The way she'd held him when immigration took her away. But giving that information to this room felt like handing over a piece of himself he couldn't get back. Taehyun's head tilted slightly. He knew Rowan was lying. Knew and didn't call him on it. Instead, he did something worse. He stepped closer. Close enough that Rowan had to tilt his head back to maintain eye contact. Close enough that their scents mixed in the air between them. The alpha's presence pressed against him like a physical weight. Not threatening. Shielding. Creating a small pocket of space inside the loud room where only they existed. These people. Taehyun's voice dropped to something only Rowan could hear. They will hurt you if you're not careful. It wasn't a warning. It was a fact. Delivered with the kind of certainty that came from experience. Rowan's breath caught. This close he could see the faint scar above Taehyun's left eyebrow. Could smell past the cologne to something earthier. Could feel the heat radiating from the alpha's body. Why am I here? Rowan managed. Taehyun didn't answer. His gaze moved past Rowan's shoulder to someone behind him. His expression hardened into something that made Rowan's spine straighten on instinct. "Victor Crowell wants to meet you," Taehyun said. Still quiet. Still only for Rowan. "Don't trust anything he offers." Then he stepped back. The bubble of privacy shattered. The room rushed in with its noise and heat and watching eyes. The American alpha from before appeared at Rowan's side again. Crowell. That was his name. He smiled like he'd won something. "Fascinating," Crowell said, loud enough for others to hear. "An Omega who speaks Busan dialect. How versatile." The way he said versatile made Rowan's skin crawl. Made him hyper-aware of his designation in a room full of alphas who saw Omegas as commodities. Tools. Things to be used. Crowell's hand landed on Rowan's lower back. Possessive. Inappropriate. "You're going to be very useful to me." Rowan wanted to pull away, wanted to run. But Taehyun was watching, and something in the alpha stillness kept him frozen in place. Like moving would trigger something worse. "I'm not," Rowan started. "Not what?" Crowell's smile sharpened. "Not available? Not interested? Everyone's available for the right price, Omega. And lucky for you, I'm very generous." Around them, conversations resumed. Alphas returned to their deals and drinks. But Rowan felt the weight of attention still on him. Felt the way they were cataloging this. Remembering. He'd made himself visible in a room where invisibility was survival. Taehyun turned away. Started speaking to the older Korean man in Seoul dialect again. Business. Formal. Like nothing had happened. But he hadn't moved far. Rowan could still feel him in the space nearby. Still smell pine underneath everything else. Crowell leaned in close enough that his breath touched Rowan's ear. "You and I are going to have a very productive conversation. But first, I want you to do something for me." Rowan's phone buzzed again. Micah. He was probably worried. Probably wondering why Rowan wasn't home yet. The blister on his heel had split open. He could feel blood soaking into the newspaper lining. "What do you want?" Rowan asked. Crowell's smile widened into something that wasn't human. Did Rowan just agree to something that would destroy everything? Crowell pulled Rowan toward the center of the room where a small crowd had gathered. Every step sent pain shooting through his heel. The newspaper lining had shifted, grinding the raw blister against cheap leather. Rowan bit the inside of his cheek to keep from limping. "Gentlemen," Crowell announced, voice carrying over the ambient noise. "I have a treat for you." The conversations died. Faces turned. Rowan felt his scent spike again. Fear. Shame. The combination made several alphas lean forward with interest, like sharks catching blood in water. Taehyun stood 10 feet away. He'd gone completely still, watching. His hands were out of his pockets now, hanging loose at his sides. "Ready." "This Omega," Crowell continued, squeezing Rowan's shoulder hard enough to bruise, "speaks fluent Busan dialect, which means he can translate the nuanced conversations our Korean partners prefer to keep private." The older Korean man next to Taehyun stiffened. His expression shuttered closed. Around him, 3 other Korean investors exchanged glances that Rowan couldn't read. This was bad. This was very bad. Crowell was turning Rowan into a weapon against people who valued privacy like religion. "I don't think," Rowan tried. "You don't need to think." Crowell's grip tightened. "You need to translate. Mr. Park here was just telling our friend Taehyun about a property deal in Seoul. I'd love to hear the details." Mr. Park's jaw clenched. He spoke rapidly in Korean, Seoul dialect, telling Crowell in the politest possible terms to go to hell. Crowell looked at Rowan expectantly. Well, Rowan's throat closed. If he translated, he'd betray Mr. Park's trust. If he refused, Crowell would make him pay. There was no good choice, just variations of bad. He opened his mouth, closed it. His hands were shaking badly enough that he had to clasp them behind his back. Taehyun moved. Not toward Rowan, toward Mr. Park. He said something in Busan dialect. Low, fast. Rowan caught maybe half of it. Something about respect, about knowing when to fold. Mr. Park responded in the same dialect. Angry, sharp, words that cut. The room leaned in. Even the people who didn't speak Korean could sense blood in the water. Alphas loved watching other alphas fight for dominance. Loved the spectacle. Crowell laughed. Oh, this is delicious. 2 dialects. Old family politics playing out in my house. Translate, Omega, everything. Don't leave out a single word. Rowan's stomach turned over. He looked at Taehyun and found the alpha already watching him. Their eyes met and held. For 1 second, Rowan saw past the controlled exterior to something raw underneath. Recognition, understanding, the same kind of trapped feeling Rowan carried in his chest every day. Then Taehyun did something that made the room gasp. He switched to English. Addressed Crowell directly. Mr. Park was discussing private family business. It has nothing to do with your investments. I'll decide what's relevant to my investments, Crowell shot back. The Omega translates or he leaves. And trust me, leaving would be very unwise. The threat hung in the air. Rowan knew what it meant. Crowell had leverage. Somehow, maybe he knew about Micah. Maybe he knew about the eviction notice Rowan had hidden in his kitchen drawer. Maybe he just knew that Omegas like Rowan couldn't afford to make enemies with men like him. Rowan took a breath, made his choice, started translating in a voice that barely shook. He gave them the words, not the meaning. Surface-level translation that sounded accurate but stripped away context. He made business sound like small talk, made threats sound like pleasantries. It was the only rebellion he had. Crowell ate it up, nodded along like he was learning state secrets. The other alphas watched with varying degrees of interest and contempt. Mr. Park's expression went carefully blank. He understood what Rowan was doing, understood and said nothing, but Taehyun's eyes never left Rowan's face, tracking every word, every careful omission. Reading between lines Crowell was too arrogant to see. When Rowan finished, Crowell clapped him on the back hard enough to make him stumble. Excellent. See? Useful. I knew it the moment I saw your file. File. The word hit Rowan like cold water. Crowell had a file on him, had researched him, known about the dialect before tonight. This wasn't random. This was planned. What file? Rowan asked before he could stop himself. Crowell's smile was all teeth. Everyone's got a file, Omega. Everyone's got a price. Yours just happens to be very reasonable. Around them, the crowd started to disperse. Show over. They drifted back to their drinks and deals. But Rowan felt the shift. Felt the way they looked at him now. Not invisible anymore. Marked. Owned. His phone buzzed again. Third time. Micah was probably panicking. Rowan pulled it out with shaking hands and saw the text. Where are you? I'm scared. For words that shattered what was left of his composure. Micah was 12. Alone. Afraid. And Rowan was stuck in this nightmare. He typed back quickly. Coming home soon. Lock the doors. Don't answer for anyone. When he looked up, Taehyun was closer. Had moved during the distraction. Close enough that Rowan could see the muscle ticking in his jaw. Close enough to smell pine cutting through everything else. You have someone waiting for you, Taehyun said. Not a question. Rowan nodded. Didn't trust his voice. Young. Another nod. Something dark crossed Taehyun's face. Anger. Not at Rowan. At the situation. Crowell. At a world that put Omegas in positions where they had to choose between safety and survival. He reached into his jacket. Pulled out a business card. Pressed it into Rowan's hand. Their fingers touched. Brief. Electric. Rowan's breath hitched. When this goes wrong, Taehyun said quietly, call that number. When. Not if. When. What does Taehyun know that Rowan doesn't? Rowan slipped the card into his pocket as Crowell's hand landed on his shoulder again. The weight of it made his skin crawl. Around them, servers moved through the crowd with trays of food Rowan couldn't afford to look at. His stomach was eating itself. The protein bar from this morning was a distant memory. Walk with me, Crowell said. Not a request. Never a request. They moved toward the terrace. Glass doors opened onto manicured gardens lit with subtle ground lights. The night air hit Rowan's face, cool and sharp. His borrowed jacket was too thin. He felt goosebumps rise on his arms but didn't let himself shiver. Crowell lit a cigar. The smoke curled between them, acrid and expensive. "You did well in there." "Better than I expected." Rowan said nothing, waiting. Tension coiled in his spine. "I have a proposition for you." Crowell turned to face him. The garden lights caught his features from below, making shadows pool in the wrong places. "I acquire companies. Specifically, companies with international ties. Korean, Japanese, Chinese. And I need someone who can navigate the cultural nuances. Someone they'll underestimate. I'm not an omega. Yes, that's exactly why it works." Crowell's smile was patronizing. They see designation before they see danger. You walk into a room, they think you're there to serve. Drinks or warm beds. They talk freely. Say things they shouldn't. All you have to do is listen. Translate. Report back to me. Rowan's hands clenched at his sides. "You want me to spy. I want you to be smart. I want you to take the very generous salary I'm offering and provide for whoever's waiting for you at home. Because make no mistake, Omega, you need this job. Your landlord's already filed eviction papers. Your brother's school sent home another truancy notice. And that clinic bill from last month? Still unpaid." Each fact hit like a slap. Crowell knew everything. Every vulnerability. Every pressure point. Rowan felt his throat tighten with rage and helplessness in equal measure. "How do you? I told you. Everyone has a file." Crowell tapped ash over the terrace railing. "I'm offering you a way out. 6 months. Full salary, benefits, housing allowance. All you have to do is translate what I need translated and keep your mouth shut about everything else. And if I say no?" Crowell's expression didn't change, but his scent did. Turned aggressive, territorial. "Then you go home tonight and find your locks changed. Your brother goes into the system. And that Omega clinic that's been treating you off the books? They lose their funding. Permanently." Rowan's vision tunneled. This wasn't a proposition. It was a cage. Gilded. Suffocating. And Crowell held every key. Behind them, the glass door slid open. Rowan smelled him before turning. Pine and electricity. Taehyun stepped onto the terrace with a glass of whiskey in one hand. He didn't look at Rowan. Looked past him to Crowell. "Interrupting?" Taehyun asked. "Polite. Dangerous. Just making a business offer," Crowell said smoothly. "Nothing that concerns you. Everything in this house concerns me. My family owns it." The temperature dropped. Rowan watched Crowell's smile falter for half a second before reforming. Watched him recalculate. In the hierarchy of this world, old Korean money outranked American venture capital. Especially Korean money with ties to enforcement. "Of course," Crowell said. "I meant no disrespect." Taehyun took a sip of whiskey. Still hadn't looked at Rowan. "The Omega needs to eat. He hasn't had food since this afternoon." Rowan's stomach chose that moment to growl audibly. Heat flooded his face. He wanted to disappear. Wanted to melt into the expensive stone tiles and never resurface. Crowell laughed. "Is that so? Well, we can't have our translator fainting from hunger." He gestured toward the doors. "Go on. Get yourself a plate. We'll finish this conversation later." Dismissed. Like a servant. Rowan's hands shook with humiliation, but he forced himself to move. Forced himself to walk back through those glass doors into the golden light and watching eyes. He made it 3 steps before Taehyun spoke. Quiet. In Busan dialect. 1 sentence. Simple. The kind of thing you'd say to someone who was drowning. "You're stronger than you think." Rowan froze. Turned. But Taehyun was already walking away. Back into the crowd. Leaving Rowan alone with those words burning in his chest. He went to the buffet table. Loaded a plate with food he could barely taste. Found a corner where the light didn't quite reach and ate mechanically. Protein. Carbs. Fuel. His body needed it even if his throat wanted to close around every bite. Across the room, Crowell held court with a group of investors. Laughing, confident, a man who'd just secured a valuable asset. But Taehyun stood near the bar, absolutely still, watching Rowan with an expression that made something dangerous bloom in his chest. Hope. Does Rowan accept Crowell's offer or risk losing everything? Rowan finished eating in mechanical bites. The food sat heavy in his stomach. Rich. Too much after months of instant ramen and food bank donations. He set the plate down on a side table and pulled out his phone. 2 new messages from Micah. The first was just question marks. The second said he'd heard something outside. His fingers flew across the screen. Stay away from windows. I'll be home in an hour. He couldn't stay here. Couldn't keep pretending he belonged in this room with these people. But leaving meant walking past Crowell. Meant facing whatever consequences came from not answering his offer immediately. A sound cut through the ambient noise. Sharp, young, crying. The room shifted. Conversations paused. Heads turned toward the hallway that led to the private wings. A child's voice, high with panic, speaking Korean. Rowan's body moved before his brain caught up. Old instincts from years of foster care. Years of being the oldest kid in houses full of scared younger ones. He rounded the corner and found her. Maybe 8 years old. Korean. Wearing a white dress that looked expensive. Tears streaming down her face. A woman in staff uniform crouched in front of her, trying to soothe her in broken Korean. Getting nowhere. Rowan knelt, put himself at eye level. "Hey!" he said softly in Busan dialect. "What's wrong?" The girl's eyes snapped to him. "Why?" Shocked, she hiccuped and said something too fast for him to catch. He asked her to slow down. Gentle. The same tone he used with Micah after nightmares. She tried again. Her mom. She couldn't find her mom. Everyone looked the same and the house was too big and she was scared. Rowan glanced at the staff woman. Her mother. "Do you know who?" "Mrs. Park. She's in the East Wing with the other wives." The woman looked relieved. "But I can't leave my post to." "I'll take her." He stood, held out his hand. The little girl stared at it for 3 seconds before taking it. Her palm was tiny, sweaty, trembling. Rowan's chest ached. He walked her through the hallway, asking questions in Busan dialect to keep her distracted. What was her name? Did she like school? What was her favorite color? Jiyeon. Yes, purple. They turned another corner and nearly collided with Taehyun. The alpha stopped short, looked down at Jiyeon. His expression transformed, softened into something Rowan hadn't seen before. Human, warm. He crouched like Rowan had. Said something to Jiyeon that made her giggle through tears. Then he stood, met Rowan's eyes. "I'll help." They walked together through corridors lined with art that cost more than Rowan's life. Jiyeon between them, holding both their hands now. She chattered in Korean, switching between Seoul and Busan dialect without thinking. Taehyun responded in kind. Patient. Kind. Nothing like the controlled mask he wore in the main room. They found Mrs. Park in a sitting room full of elegantly dressed women. Her face crumpled with relief when she saw Jiyeon. She rushed over, swept her daughter into her arms, speaking rapid Korean. Thank yous, apologies, gratitude. Rowan stepped back. His job was done. He should leave, return to the party, deal with Crowell. But Mrs. Park grabbed his hand, looked him in the eye, said something in Busan dialect that made his throat close. She called him kind, called him safe. Said Jiyeon had good instincts about people. Taehyun translated unnecessarily, his voice rough. She says you have a good heart. Rowan couldn't speak, just nodded. Let Mrs. Park pull him into a brief hug that smelled like jasmine and expensive perfume. When she released him, he felt unsteady, off balance. How long since someone had hugged him? Months, maybe years. They left the sitting room, walked back toward the party in silence. But it wasn't uncomfortable. Taehyun moved at Rowan's pace. Didn't rush him, didn't speak. Halfway there, he stopped, turned to face Rowan in a hallway where the noise was distant and muffled. What Crowell offered you, Taehyun said. Don't take it. I don't have a choice. There's always a choice. Rowan laughed. Bitter. Broken. Easy to say when you have money. When you have power. I have a 12-year-old brother and $60 in my bank account. Crowell knows that. He knows everything. Taehyun's jaw clenched. He's using you. I know. Rowan's voice cracked. I know exactly what he's doing. But if I say no, Micah goes into the system. And I've been in the system. I know what it does to kids. I won't let that happen to him. Silence. Heavy. Taehyun reached into his jacket, pulled out his wallet, started extracting bills. Rowan stepped back. No, it's not. I said no. The words came out sharper than intended. I'm not a charity case. I'm not some omega who'll spread his legs for money. Taehyun's expression darkened. That's not what this is. Isn't it? Rich Alpha helps poor Omega. Omega owes him. It's the oldest story in the world. You don't know me. I don't need to. Rowan's hands were shaking again. Rage. Shame. Fear. You're all the same. You see Omegas and you see things. Property. Tools. Bodies to use. He was being unfair. He knew it even as the words left his mouth. Taehyun had been nothing but careful. Nothing but kind. But Rowan was drowning and lashing out at the only person close enough to hit. Taehyun put the money away slowly, deliberately. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, controlled. I see you, Rowan Vale. Not your designation. You. And what I see is someone who's been surviving alone for so long you've forgotten what it's like to let someone help. Rowan's breath caught. The words hit too close, too accurate. His vision blurred with tears he refused to let fall. Taehyun reached out, slowly. Gave Rowan time to pull away. When he didn't, the Alpha's hand settled on his wrist. Not gripping, just resting. Warm, steady, grounding. When this goes wrong, Taehyun repeated, call the number I gave you. Promise me. Rowan couldn't promise, couldn't speak, just stood there feeling the weight of a touch that didn't take. Didn't demand, just offered. Taehyun's thumb brushed the inside of his wrist. Once. Gentle. Then he let go and walked away, leaving Rowan alone in the hallway with his heart beating too fast and skin that still remembered warmth. Will Rowan call for help when everything falls apart? The contract arrived 3 days later. Rowan sat at his kitchen table staring at 27 pages of legal text that might as well have been written in a foreign language. Micah was at school. The apartment was silent except for the drip of the leaky faucet Rowan couldn't afford to fix. Sunlight cut through the grimy window, highlighting dust motes and water stains on the ceiling. Crowell's courier had hand-delivered it. Waited while Rowan signed for the envelope. Smiled like he knew exactly what was inside. Employment contract. 6-month term. Salary that made Rowan's hands shake. Housing stipend. Medical benefits. Everything Crowell had promised. Everything Rowan needed. Page 14 made his stomach turn. Non-disclosure clause. He couldn't discuss anything he translated. Anything he witnessed. Anyone he met. Violation would result in immediate termination and legal action. The legal action part was underlined. Twice. Page 19 was worse. Availability clause. He'd be on call 24 hours. Required to attend any meeting Crowell deemed necessary. Required to travel. Required to be available. Available. That word again. Loaded with meaning Rowan didn't want to examine too closely. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Mr. Vale. Crowell's voice filled his ear. Smooth. Confident. Did you receive the contract? Yes. And? Rowan looked around his apartment. Peeling linoleum. Second-hand furniture. The eviction notice still tucked in the drawer. Micah's school project on the counter. Half finished because they couldn't afford poster board. I need time to read it. Crowell laughed. Of course. Take all the time you need. You have until 5 p.m. today. The line went dead. Rowan set the phone down carefully. His hands were shaking again. He'd been doing that a lot lately. Shaking. Like his body knew something his brain hadn't accepted yet. He pulled out Taehyun's business card. Plain white, embossed lettering, a phone number, nothing else. He'd looked at it maybe 50 times since that night. Never called. Never threw it away either. The card sat next to the contract. 2 choices. 2 different futures. At 4:45, Rowan signed the contract. Used a pen that skipped on every 3rd letter. His signature looked shaky, desperate. He took a photo with his phone and sent it to the email address Crowell had provided. The response came in under a minute. Excellent choice. Report to the address below tomorrow at 9 a.m. Rowan deleted Taehyun's number from his contacts. Threw the business card in the trash. If he was doing this, he was doing it completely. No safety nets. No looking back. The first meeting was in a hotel conference room downtown. Rowan arrived 15 minutes early wearing the only professional clothes he owned. Same thrift store shirt. Different borrowed jacket. New shoes he'd bought with the signing bonus. They pinched, but at least they didn't bleed. Crowell was already there. So were 4 other men. All alphas. All watching Rowan with expressions ranging from curiosity to contempt. He recognized one from the party. Korean investor, Mr. Kwon. The man's jaw tightened when he saw Rowan. "Gentlemen," Crowell said, "this is Rowan Vale. He'll be facilitating our communications going forward." Facilitating. Pretty word for spying. Rowan sat in the chair Crowell indicated. Pulled out the notebook he'd been instructed to bring. Kept his eyes down. Made himself small. The meeting lasted 2 hours. They discussed property acquisitions in Seoul. Import contracts. Labor agreements. Mr. Kwon spoke in rapid Korean, clearly assuming Rowan wouldn't understand the Seoul dialect. He was wrong. Rowan caught every word. Caught the insults. The dismissive comments about Crowell's intelligence. The warnings to his colleagues about American greed. He translated faithfully. Watched Crowell's expression sharpen. Watched Mr. Kwon realize his mistake too late. After the meeting, Crowell pulled Rowan aside. "Perfect. Exactly what I needed. Same time next week. Different investors." This became Rowan's life. Meetings. Translations. Watching powerful men underestimate him while he fed their secrets to Crowell. The money was good. The benefits covered Micah's asthma medication. They moved into a better apartment. One with heat that worked and windows that locked. But every night, Rowan scrubbed his hands raw trying to wash off the feeling of being dirty. 3 weeks in, he saw Taehyun again. Another party. Different estate. Same crowd. Their eyes met across a room full of people and Rowan felt his chest constrict. The alpha looked tired. Angry. Like something was eating him from the inside. Taehyun started toward him. Rowan turned away. Disappeared into the crowd. He couldn't face those eyes. Couldn't handle the judgment he knew he'd see. Later that night, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You're in over your head." Rowan deleted the message. Blocked the number. But he couldn't block the truth. Crowell was building something. Using Rowan's translations to construct leverage. To identify weaknesses. To exploit every gap in his competitor's armor. And Rowan was the weapon making it possible. The realization hit during a meeting in week 5. Crowell forced a Korean shipping company into bankruptcy using information Rowan had translated. Information about family debts, personal scandals, things that should have stayed private. 70 people lost their jobs. Rowan watched it happen in real time. Watched the news report. Watched families destroyed. That night he threw up until nothing was left. How many more lives will Rowan destroy before he finds the courage to stop? The envelope appeared under Rowan's door on a Tuesday morning. No postage. No return address. Just his name written in precise handwriting. Inside was a single document. Contract. The one he'd signed with Crowell. Except this copy had annotations. Red ink. Legal terms explained in plain English. Highlighting sections Rowan had missed. Clauses buried in dense paragraphs. Ownership clause. Anything Rowan created or discovered during employment belonged to Crowell, including information about his personal life, his family, his history. Penalty clause. Early termination required paying back all compensation received, plus damages. The number made his vision blur. $200,000. Money he didn't have, would never have. He was trapped. Legally, financially, completely. A sticky note was attached to the last page. You need to see page 43. Section 12. Subsection 4. Page 43 wasn't in Rowan's copy. His contract stopped at page 27. He felt his stomach drop, felt cold certainty settle in his bones. Crowell had given him an incomplete contract, made him sign without seeing everything. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered without thinking. Did you get the package? Taehyun's voice. Rough, worried. How did you? Page 43 gives Crowell ownership of your designation status. He can block you from working anywhere else, can prevent you from bonding, from having children. It's a modification of old pack indenture laws. Technically legal, morally bankrupt. Rowan sat down hard. His legs wouldn't hold him anymore. Why are you telling me this? Because I've been watching him do this for years. He finds vulnerable omegas, traps them in contracts, uses them until they break, then discards them. Silence. Heavy. I tried to warn you. I didn't have a choice. There's always. Don't. Rowan's voice cracked. Don't tell me there's always a choice. You don't know what it's like. You've never been desperate. More silence. Then quietly, you're wrong. But that's not important right now. What's important is getting you out. There is no out. You saw the penalties. I can't pay that. I can. 3 words. Simple. Devastating. Rowan closed his eyes. Why would you do that? Taehyun didn't answer right away. When he spoke, his voice was different. Vulnerable. Because I know what it's like to be owned, to have your choices taken. My family built their empire on control, on using people. I watched it my whole life. I won't watch it happen to you. Rowan's throat closed. He wanted to accept, wanted to let someone else carry this weight. But accepting meant owing, meant trading one cage for another. I can't. Rowan. I said I can't. I need to handle this myself. He hung up, sat in the silence of his apartment. Micah would be home in 2 hours, would ask about dinner, about homework help, would smile like things were normal. Rowan picked up the annotated contract, read it cover to cover, found every trap, every hidden clause. By the time he finished, he knew exactly what he had to do. He couldn't pay his way out, couldn't lawyer his way out, but he could expose what Crowell was doing, could make it public, destroy Crowell's reputation so thoroughly that no Omega would ever fall into this trap again. It would destroy Rowan too, would violate the NDA, would trigger the penalty clauses, would probably land him in court, maybe jail, but it would save the next person. The next desperate Omega who thought they had no choice. He started documenting everything. Meetings, translations, the bankruptcy, the families destroyed. Every piece of leverage Crowell had built using stolen information. He worked through the night, through the next day, built a case so detailed it couldn't be dismissed. His phone buzzed constantly. Taehyun. He ignored every call, every message. He couldn't let the alpha talk him out of this. Couldn't let anyone convince him there was an easier way. On Friday morning, he dressed in his best clothes, kissed Micah goodbye, told his brother he loved him. Micah looked confused but smiled anyway. Rowan walked into Crowell's office with a USB drive in his pocket and terror in his throat. The alpha was on the phone, gestured for Rowan to wait, finished his call, smiled. Rowan, good timing. I have another meeting this afternoon. Korean tech executives. Should be very informative. Rowan stayed standing. I quit. Crowell's smile didn't falter. No, you don't. Read your contract. I read it. All of it. Including the pages you didn't give me. Now the smile dropped. Crowell stood slowly. Careful, Omega. You're about to make a very expensive mistake. I already made the mistake, signing with you, but I'm fixing it now. Rowan's voice was steadier than he expected. I've documented everything. Every illegal clause. Every family you destroyed. Every Omega you trapped. It's all on this drive. And it's already been sent to 3 law firms, 2 journalists, and the labor board. Crowell's face went white, then red. You're bluffing. Check your email. Subject line: contract violations. I sent you a copy too. Professional courtesy. For 3 seconds, neither of them moved. Then Crowell lunged. Rowan had been expecting it. Stepped back. His hand went to his pocket. To his phone. Recording. Had been recording since he walked in. You think this will destroy me? Crowell's voice was shaking. You'll lose everything. Your apartment. Your brother. Your freedom. I'll bury you. Probably, Rowan agreed. But you'll be buried right next to me. And every Omega you plan to trap will see what happened. Will know to run. Crowell's hands clenched into fists. For a moment, Rowan thought he'd actually hit him. Violence. Proof. Another nail in the coffin. But the Alpha controlled himself. Barely. Get out. Rowan walked to the door. Stopped. Looked back. The shipping company. The 70 people who lost their jobs. I told them everything. They're filing a class action suit. You should probably call your lawyer. He left. Made it to the elevator before his legs gave out. Collapsed against the wall. Shaking. Terrified. Free. Did Rowan just sacrifice everything for a principle, or finally learn what power really means? The lawsuits hit within 48 hours. Rowan watched from his apartment as news outlets picked up the story. Venture capitalist accused of exploiting Omega labor. Contract violations. Illegal indenture clauses. Hidden terms. Crowell's face plastered across screens. His empire crumbling in real time. Rowan's phone rang constantly. Lawyers. Journalists. Other Omegas who'd signed similar contracts. People he'd never met thanking him. Crying. Sharing their own stories of exploitation. He answered every call. Gave every interview. Let them use his name. His face. His story. If he was going down, he'd go down loud. Micah didn't understand at first. Asked why Rowan wasn't going to work. Why people kept calling. Why their new apartment might not be new for long. Rowan explained it the best he could. Told him about right and wrong. About standing up even when it cost everything. Micah listened with serious eyes and then hugged him tight. Said he was proud. Said Mom would have been proud too. Rowan cried for the first time in years. The penalty notice came on day 3. $200,000. Due in 30 days. Rowan had $400 in his bank account. The math didn't work. Would never work. He started packing. Called social services. Began the process of temporary guardianship for Micah. Found a family friend who could take him until Rowan figured things out. If Rowan figured things out, his brother cried. Rowan held him and lied. Said it would be okay. Said it was temporary. Said he'd fix this. On day 5, someone knocked on his door. Rowan opened it to find Taehyun standing in the hallway. The Alpha looked exhausted. Angry. Magnificent. You're an idiot, Taehyun said. I know. You could have called me. Could have let me help. I know that too. Taehyun stepped inside without being invited. Looked around the half-packed apartment. At the boxes. The bare walls. The evidence of a life being dismantled. Where's your brother? Friend's house. Didn't want him here for this. Smart. Taehyun pulled an envelope from his jacket. Set it on the kitchen table. That's a check. Covers the penalty. And 6 months' rent. And legal fees. Rowan stared at the envelope like it might explode. No. Yes. I'm not a charity case. I'm not. You're not taking it for you, Taehyun interrupted. Voice hard. You're taking it for Micah. You're taking it for every Omega who's going to read your story and find the courage to fight back. You're taking it because martyrdom is easy and actually surviving is hard. Rowan's jaw clenched. I can't pay you back. I'm not asking you to. Taehyun moved closer. Close enough that Rowan could smell pine and exhaustion. I'm asking you to stop punishing yourself for being human. For needing help. For not being able to do everything alone. Why do you care? The question burst out raw. Desperate. You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. Taehyun's expression shifted, softened. I know what you did at that party. How you protected Jeon. How you translated for Mr. Kwon even when Crowell was using you. How you chose to destroy yourself rather than let one more person get hurt. He paused. I know you because I've spent my whole life watching people, trying to figure out who's real and who's performing. You're the first person I've met in years who's just real. Rowan's breath caught. The honesty in those words hit harder than any declaration. He wanted to argue, wanted to push back, but he was so tired, so desperately tired of carrying everything alone. If I take this, he said quietly, what do you want? Nothing. Taehyun's voice was firm. No strings, no obligation. You take it, use it, survive. That's all. People don't just give away money for nothing. I'm not people, and you're not just anyone. Taehyun reached out, slowly, gave Rowan time to move away. When he didn't, the alpha's hand settled on his shoulder. Warm, steady, grounding. Let someone help you, just this once. Please. The please broke something in Rowan's chest. He looked at the envelope, Taehyun, at his half-packed life in boxes, at all the choices that had led him here. Okay, he whispered. Taehyun's hand squeezed gently, then released. Okay. They stood in silence, not uncomfortable, just sharing space, breathing the same air. Two people who'd been alone too long, recognizing something in each other. I need to ask you something, Rowan said. That night, at the party, you knew what Crowell was doing, knew he had contracts like mine. Why didn't you stop him? Taehyun's jaw tightened. I tried, for years, but he's careful. His lawyers are good. And my family, he stopped, started again. My family benefits from people like Crowell, from systems that exploit omegas. Stopping him means exposing them too. I wasn't ready for that fight. And now I'm ready. Taehyun met his eyes. You made me ready, watching you choose integrity over safety, watching you burn your life down rather than compromise. You reminded me what courage looks like. Rowan felt heat crawl up his neck. I'm not courageous. I'm terrified. Courage isn't not being afraid. It's being afraid and doing the right thing anyway. Taehyun smiled. Small. Real. You're the bravest person I've ever met. Before Rowan could respond, his phone buzzed. Text from his lawyer. Settlement offer from Crowell. Dropped all penalties in exchange for silence. NDA. Agreement not to pursue further legal action. Rowan showed Taehyun the screen. What do I do? What do you want to do? Rowan thought about the other omegas. The ones still trapped. The ones who'd called him crying, thanking him. He thought about Micah, about survival, about choosing between principles and reality. I want to reject it, he said slowly. I want to see this through, make sure he can't do this to anyone else. But that means more legal fees, more time, more risk. Then reject it, Taehyun said simply. I'll cover the fees. I'll testify if you need me to. I'll do whatever it takes. Why? Taehyun's expression turned serious. Because you were right, at the party, when you said alphas see omegas as things, as property. I've spent my whole life watching my family treat people that way. Using designation as an excuse for cruelty. I'm done watching, done being complicit. He pulled out his phone, started typing. I'm sending you contact information for every omega I know who signed contracts with Crowell, and for the investigative journalist who's been trying to expose my family's business practices for years. You want to burn it all down? Let's burn it all down. Rowan stared at him, at this alpha who was offering to destroy his own family. His own empire. For what? For principle? For revenge? For him? This will hurt you, Rowan said. Yes. Your family will disown you. Probably. You'll lose everything. Taehyun smiled. Sad. Certain. No. I'll finally have something worth keeping. My integrity. My choice. My freedom to walk away from a legacy built on suffering. Rowan's throat closed. He wanted to argue, wanted to tell Taehyun this was too much, that he couldn't accept this level of sacrifice. But the alpha's eyes were clear, determined. This wasn't about Rowan. This was about Taehyun finally choosing who he wanted to be. Okay, Rowan said. Let's do it. They worked through the night, building a case, connecting dots. Rowan provided evidence. Taehyun provided context, names, family connections, ways Crowell's operation tied into larger systems of exploitation. By morning, they had something devastating, something that would reshape how Omega labor contracts were written, how designation-based employment was regulated, how families like Taehyun's operated. Rowan sent it to his lawyer, to the journalist, to the labor board. Then he collapsed on his couch and slept for 14 hours. When he woke, Taehyun was still there, sitting in a chair, reading, waiting. Their eyes met and something passed between them. Understanding, recognition, the beginning of something that looked like trust. Did Rowan just find an ally, or something much more dangerous? The investigation took 4 months. Rowan testified 3 times, sat in courtrooms and conference rooms and explained in excruciating detail how Crowell had exploited him, how the contracts worked, how many others were trapped. He kept his voice steady, kept his emotions locked down, refused to let anyone see him break. Taehyun testified twice, explained his family's connections, their business practices, the ways they'd benefited from Omega exploitation for generations. His family cut him off within a week, froze his accounts, issued a public statement disowning him. He moved into a modest apartment 3 blocks from Rowan's, got a job consulting for the labor board, started rebuilding a life based on choice instead of inheritance. They didn't talk about what was happening between them, the way they gravitated toward each other, the way Taehyun showed up at Rowan's apartment with groceries, the way Rowan texted him first thing every morning, the way they existed in each other's orbit like planets caught in mutual gravity. Micah loved him. That was the dangerous part. Loved the way Taehyun listened when he talked about school. Loved the way he helped with homework without making Micah feel stupid. Loved the way he treated Rowan, with respect and care and something that looked like affection. Rowan tried to maintain distance, tried to remember that alphas left, that kindness had conditions, that nothing this good lasted. But Taehyun was patient, persistent. He showed up, day after day. No demands, no expectations, just presence. The verdict came down on a Tuesday. Crowell guilty on 17 counts. Contract fraud, Omega exploitation, illegal indenture practices, 3 years in prison. His empire dismantled, his assets liquidated to compensate victims. Rowan stood outside the courthouse and felt nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction, just exhaustion and relief that it was finally over. Taehyun found him on the steps, didn't speak, just stood beside him while reporters shouted questions and cameras flashed. 2 people who'd chosen integrity over safety, who'd survived. That night, Taehyun brought dinner, Korean food, homemade. He and Micah argued playfully about which K-pop group was better while Rowan watched from the kitchen. His chest hurt. This felt too much like family, too much like home, too much like something that could be taken away. After Micah went to bed, they sat on Rowan's second-hand couch, close but not touching. The silence was comfortable, easy. I have to go back to Korea, Taehyun said suddenly. Next month. My sister reached out. She wants to meet, talk about what happened. Rowan's stomach dropped. For how long? I don't know. Maybe a few weeks. Maybe longer. Depends on. He stopped. Started again. Depends on whether she's willing to listen. Whether there's anything left to salvage. You should go. I know. Taehyun turned to face him. Come with me. Rowan's breath caught. What? You and Micah. Come to Korea. See where I'm from. Meet my sister. Stay as long as you want. Taehyun. I know what you're going to say. That it's too much. that you can't accept, that you need to stand on your own. Taehyun's voice was gentle, certain. But this isn't about standing alone anymore. This is about choosing to let people in, about building something instead of just surviving. Rowan wanted to say no, wanted to protect himself, protect Micah, protect his heart from the inevitable moment when Taehyun realized Rowan wasn't worth the effort. But he was so tired of being afraid. "I'll think about it," he said. Taehyun smiled, reached over, took Rowan's hand. Their fingers interlaced naturally, like they'd done this 1,000 times, like it was easy. They sat like that until Rowan fell asleep. Woke to find Taehyun gone but a blanket draped over him. A note on the table. "Breakfast is in the fridge. Think about Korea. I'll wait as long as you need." Rowan held the note and let himself imagine it. A different life, a different future, one where he wasn't alone, where Micah had stability, where trust was possible. Terrified him, but it also felt like hope. Will Rowan choose safety or take a chance on something real? Rowan stood in the international terminal with a suitcase and a terrified 12-year-old. Micah gripped his hand tight enough to hurt. They'd never been on a plane before, never left the state, and now they were flying to Korea, to meet Taehyun's sister, to step into a life Rowan still couldn't quite believe was real. Taehyun appeared through the crowd. Casual clothes, soft smile. He looked younger like this, less controlled, more human. "Ready?" he asked. Micah nodded enthusiastically. Rowan's throat was too tight to speak. He managed a nod. They boarded, settled into seats Taehyun had upgraded without asking. Micah pressed his face against the window. Rowan watched the ground fall away and felt his stomach drop with it. Somewhere over the Pacific, Micah fell asleep against Rowan's shoulder. Taehyun reached across the armrest, took Rowan's hand, just held it. Warm, steady, real. "Thank you," Taehyun said quietly, "for trusting me." "I'm terrified," Rowan admitted. "Me too. What if your sister hates me? What if your family? Then we leave. We come back. We figure it out." Taehyun's thumb traced circles on Rowan's palm. "But we do it together, if you want." Rowan looked at their joined hands, at Micah sleeping peacefully, at the life he'd built from nothing, at the alpha who'd chosen to stand beside him instead of above him. "I want," he whispered. They landed in Seoul 14 hours later, jet-lagged, exhausted, overwhelmed. Taehyun's sister met them at the airport. She looked like him, same sharp features, same careful control, but her eyes were kind when she looked at Rowan. She spoke in Korean, formal, polite. Taehyun translated even though Rowan understood. She says welcome. She says thank you for what you did, for being brave enough to speak up. Rowan's eyes burned. He bowed, deeper than necessary, felt her hand on his shoulder, gentle, accepting. The next week was strange, beautiful, hard. They stayed in a small apartment in Busan. Taehyun showed them the neighborhood where he'd grown up, the places his mother had taken him, the streets that still spoke his childhood dialect. Micah thrived, made friends with local kids using more hand gestures than words. Came home every night talking about his day, smiling, safe. Rowan watched Taehyun navigate his family's expectations, watched him set boundaries, watched him choose his own path instead of the one laid out for him. It was messy, painful, necessary. On their last night before the flight home, they walked along the beach, just the two of them. Micah was at Taehyun's sister's apartment having a sleepover with her kids. The ocean stretched dark and endless. Stars reflected on the water. "I don't want to go back," Rowan said, then immediately regretted it. "I mean, I have to go back. We have lives, responsibilities. I know what you mean." Taehyun stopped walking, turned to face him. "I don't want you to go back either." They stood close, closer than friends, not quite crossing the line into something more. Rowan could smell him, pine and salt air and something uniquely Taehyun. His heart was racing. His hands were shaking. "I'm not good at this," Rowan said. At trusting, at letting people close. I've spent so long protecting myself that I don't know how to stop. Then don't stop. Taehyun's voice was soft. Keep protecting yourself. Keep being cautious. I'll wait. I'm not going anywhere. How can you be so sure? Because I've spent my whole life looking for someone real. Someone who sees past the money and the name and the power. Someone who chose me when I had nothing to offer. Taehyun reached up, slowly, gave Rowan time to move away. Cupped his face with both hands. You're it. You're what I've been looking for. And I'm patient. I'll wait as long as you need. Rowan's breath shuddered out. He wanted to kiss him. Wanted to close the distance and let himself have this. But fear held him frozen. What if he wasn't enough? What if Taehyun changed his mind? What if this all fell apart? Taehyun seemed to understand. Pressed his forehead to Rowan's instead. Close. Intimate. Not demanding more than Rowan could give. When you're ready, he whispered. I'll be here. They flew back to the States the next day. Back to their separate apartments and separate lives. But something had shifted. Some understanding had settled between them. Taehyun kept showing up. Kept being patient. Kept choosing Rowan even when Rowan couldn't quite choose himself. 3 months later, Rowan kissed him. Finally. In his kitchen while Micah was at school. Awkward. Desperate. Perfect. Taehyun kissed back like it was everything he'd been waiting for. Like Rowan was worth the patience. They took it slow. Built trust one day at a time. Let Micah set the pace for how their relationship developed. Created something that looked like family without forcing it. Rowan still had nightmares. Still woke up panicked that it was all going to disappear. But Taehyun was there. Steady. Real. Proving over and over that some people stayed. A year later, they moved in together. Combined their lives. Their futures. Their families. It wasn't perfect. It was messy and complicated and sometimes hard. But it was real. And it was theirs. Rowan stood in their shared apartment one morning. Watched Taehyun help Micah with homework. Watched them laugh together. Watched his brother smile with the kind of security Rowan had never had at that age. And he realized something. Taehyun hadn't claimed him. Hadn't marked him. Hadn't demanded ownership or control or anything Rowan wasn't ready to give. He'd chosen him. Every single day. Chosen to show up. Chosen to be patient. Chosen to love him exactly as he was. And Rowan was finally ready to choose back. That night, after Micah went to bed, Rowan took Taehyun's hand, led him to their room, locked the door, and said the words he'd been too afraid to say. I choose you too. Taehyun's eyes went dark, warm, full of promise. Yeah. They had the rest of their lives to figure out what that meant. Together, 2 years later, Rowan stood in a courtroom again. Different this time. Better. Taehyun beside him. Micah between them. The judge signed the adoption papers that made it official. Made them a legal family. Micah cried. Rowan cried. Even Taehyun's eyes looked suspiciously wet. They celebrated at the same Korean restaurant where Taehyun had brought them on their first awkward family dinner. Micah ordered in broken Korean he'd been practicing. The owner recognized them, smiled, brought extra banchan without being asked. Walking home that night, Micah ran ahead, full of energy and joy and the kind of confidence that came from knowing he was wanted. Loved. Safe. Taehyun pulled Rowan close, kissed his temple. No regrets. Rowan thought about the scared Omega in the borrowed suit. The one who thought survival meant staying invisible. The one who didn't know he deserved more than scraps. Not a single one, he said. And he meant it. Every word. Thank you for watching this story. If you want to see more stories that inspire, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter. Drop a comment below about what this story meant to you. Your thoughts might inspire someone else who needs to hear it. Remember, choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. And sometimes, letting someone help you isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing you can do.